Hello, world. Welcome back to Golf Subpar. What a week it was. Sleaze, you and I were getting amongst it around Whistling Straits with the people, and Team USA just absolutely put the whipping to them at Whistling.
The wood. Just brought the wood. Let's call it what it was. That was just a domination from start to finish. Morning, opening session, 3-1, never looked back. And I mean, we talked so much about, I feel like we've been talking about the Ryder Cup for 6 months plus going into it. We all thought more or less this thing would be fairly close, but we both were leaning towards the U.S. And I got to be dead honest, I didn't see a 19-9 ass whooping out there when this thing was just getting started. But I feel like after the morning session of day one, looking at the pairings for session two, I was like, man, other than Rahm and Sergio, it was hard to find points that Europe was going to come up with throughout the week. And damned if they didn't have a hard time doing it. And we brought this little bad boy right here back to the States finally.
Yes, you did. I got my Team USA hat on right here as well.
I love it. We're patriotic.
Rocked it all week. We are very patriotic. But, man, we got to tell you a little bit about this because if you've never been to a Ryder Cup, you got to go. It's obviously a bucket list item. I will say it might be the hardest golf tournament to watch as a fan just because, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there's only 4 groups playing at a time. So everyone is there, but the atmosphere is unreal. We got there on Monday night, had to do a bunch of stuff on Tuesday, didn't get a chance to go around the golf course. Wednesday, we did our SiriusXM show live from the golf course, following Team USA around. We were inside the ropes, and my God, what an atmosphere. They were 6 deep during a practice round. They had family inside the ropes watching them play a practice round. Unbelievable.
Practice rounds, I put the pack on to go out on the golf course, walk around trying to get the 10th fairway. It must have taken me 35 minutes to get out there. You could not get through the fans to get out there. As soon as I got close to getting to 10, it all stacked up. Team USA was coming. Spieth, Thomas, all those guys stood up right there. I mean, the chanting, the cheering after they're hitting 2 balls off the tee. They're not even like doing, you know what I mean? There's zero intensity out there, and these people were going nuts. From the minute you got there, you could just feel this thing's different. We hear about it all the time. Like, there's certain events, certain things that people hype up so much. They're like, oh, I got to go do it. I got to go do it. Or golf courses, you got to play this place. You build it up so much in your mind that once you actually do it, you're like, oh, yeah, it was cool. But it wasn't like what everybody was saying it was. This thing, from the moment you step there, I mean, it's just a different vibe at the golf course. The first tee for the opening tee shots, we were both down there. And, like, the entire grandstand's bursting out into Star Spangled Banner and the chanting, and then finally JT and Jordan come out of the tunnel, all that shit. Like, they come out of the tunnel, and it was just mayhem. Dude, I was getting goosebumps, and all this. I was like, I'm ready to run through a freaking brick wall right now.
By the way, first tee time, 7:05 Central Time, 5:05 Scottsdale time, and my man was there on the first tee getting amongst it.
Not many things can get me out of bed at 5:05, but by God, the Ryder Cup is one of them. And that whole week, dude, lived up to the hype, all the stuff. We got to do some cool. We had to get out there on the golf course. Got to share a booth with Greg Norman. I mean, what the hell's going on in the world? I was like, hey, Shark, what do you think about this? I was like, what am I doing? Like, what world are we living in where I'm asking Greg Norman what he thinks about golf? But, man, dude, what a week. And just a straight-up blitzing from
like
start to finish.
Just going back to the opening tee shot, like when they walked through the tunnel and that place went crazy. I mean, I was nervous. I felt like I was going to have to hit a shot. My heart was pounding, goosebumps. Following Jordan and Justin around as they played Rahm and Sergio was so cool. I was lucky enough to bounce around from group to group the first day before I ended up in the booth with my man Brian Katrick and Greg Norman. But this is going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Ryder Cup, Sleaze, because there was a lot of talk going in. Can Team USA turn this thing around? Lost 5 of the last 7. It's been a rough go. USA is absolutely stacked on paper. Average world ranking of 8.9.
Always the case.
I mean, it's just, but this was a whole nother level. They've never been that stacked.
And a lot of different names that were in that group.
And a lot of young guys. You got 6 rookies on the team. And they went out and they put on a show. They were on a mission from the moment it was started. I mean, they went in early the weekend before, played Whistling Straits, tried to figure out what to do. And credit to Steve Stricker for arguably one of the greatest captaincies we'll ever see in the Ryder Cup. Whatever he did, whatever he said, it worked. This team, every single person, all 12, scored a winning point. Not just a half point, a full winning point. 9 guys scored at least 2 points.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, you look on the European side, other than Rahm, and Sergio was there with him, but Rahm was doing the heavy lifting of that, you couldn't find another point out there. They were the only guys doing it. And it got to the point when pairings would come out, whether it was afternoon or the next morning or whatever it was. And I'm like, guys, the biggest issue right now for Steve Stricker is who's he going to sit? Who do you go sit? You sit Tony Finau after he went out in the afternoon of the first day and played probably the best golf on the property. All right, you got to go sit down. Who are you? Everyone's playing pretty damn good. Who are we sitting out? And on the other side of that, Harrington, other than Rahm and Garcia, it's like, all right, who else is our guy? Who else is going to go out and get points? You couldn't find them. Yeah. The depth and the strength of that team. Finally, we always we're frequently favorites on paper, but it doesn't always play out like that. 18 holes match play. We've talked about it a ton of times. Anything can happen. It just played out like you kind of would expect it to if you were just reading them. If you just saw these two teams and here's their world golf rankings here's theirs. All right, well, yeah, this team should steamroll them. Yeah, and it actually happened this time.
The boat race at Kohler's place.
I like that.
Yeah, it was special to watch. But, like I said, Steve Stricker, they had a game plan. They stuck to it. Imagine if the Atlanta Falcons did that against the New England Patriots. Stuck to their game plan. Might not have blown that 28-3 lead. But they went out first 3 sessions, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. It's 9-3. Going in to the Saturday 4-ball, and it got a little dicey there for a little bit. Team Europe got on a little bit of a heater, looking like they could possibly make a run, maybe get 3 points, maybe even sweep the afternoon, and we got a 9-7, maybe a 10-6 ball game, which we've seen teams come back from before. But right at the end, Team USA put it on, and here it is. It's 11-5.
2-2 in that session is like, This thing's a dirt nap.
Yeah.
3.5 points.
Yep. 11-5 heading into the Sunday singles. This thing is over. No one's ever come back from that far. And then you look at the singles pairings, the singles matchups, and Team USA is favored in 11 of the 12 matches. The only one they weren't, world number 1, Jon Rahm against Scottie Scheffler. And what does Scottie do? Goes out there, birdies the first 4 holes, and just dominates the Spaniard.
Scottie doesn't know. Scottie knew on Sunday. Tell you that. Tweet start for the kid. Went out there. The only match that they're favored in out of the whole thing, he goes out there and does that to Rahm. And by the way, there was a time late in the day where I was watching in the stands or whatever, and I looked up and it was U.S. leads in 9, Europe leads in 2, 1. I was like, dude, 9-2.5. I'm like, this thing is playing out. I mean, it was just start to finish, man. There was no let up in any of these dudes. They knew going into the day, hey, 19 is kind of they wanted to get to 20, I believe, but they knew 19-9 was like the biggest margin of victory in the modern era of the Ryder Cup. They were all fully aware of that. And sometimes when the Cups decided, you see some of the matches out there, hey, pick it up, all this stuff. There was none of that. They knew 19. I mean, even Berger coming all the way in, winning that last hole to get the point and get to 19. Like, they all knew what that. Yeah, they wanted this thing. It felt like that President's Cup where they wanted to end it at Liberty National, and Daniel Berger's one that came out and said, like, I want this thing to be done. I want to beat their heads in, basically. Yeah. And they did it.
You mentioned, first off, 2 things. I want to go back to Scottie Scheffler for 1 second. Because it was 11-5 going in, and yes, Team Europe, possibly, if they got crazy hot, could have maybe rallied back and did something, but they had 5 points going into Sunday. Jon Rahm had 3.5 of those points. And here's Scottie Scheffler going off number in the 3rd spot. He goes out, wins the first 4 holes against the only guy that can score for Team Europe. I would have to believe Team USA was on the range warming up and looking and being like,
oh boy,
this thing's over. The only guy that can do anything is getting smoked by our rookie, Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah, their bully just got punched in the nose. I mean, that's the guy that was just manhandling us. God, I mean, by the way, God damn, he looked good. Rahm.
He's unbelievable.
I mean,
he's number 1 player in the world. It's not
by
a discussion.
A very, very large. Even this, I thought was really telling, just how like the other players in the world are viewing Jon Rahm right now. Brooks Koepka got interviewed after his singles matches. He ends up going 2-2 for the week. They're asking about his record. He's like, yeah, 2-2. Would have liked to be 3-1 or put more points on the board. But he's like, God, like my 2 losses were to John. Like, come on, what do you want me to do, basically? And I'm like, really that's Brooks Koepka. He doesn't really dap up. He doesn't give a lot of props to a whole lot of people. Like, major's the only thing that matter, all that. I'm going to beat, Tiger's major record, all that. And then he's saying, like, I lost twice, but it was to John. I thought that was a pretty interesting take there, just the way that Brooks Koepka said, spoke about Jon Rahm.
Well, the party was on, and they deserved it. They put on an unbelievable performance. Captain Steve Stricker, the question is now, who's going to be the captain in Rome when Team USA goes over there and tries to win on foreign soil for the first time since 1993? It's been a long time. But if you look at Captain Steve Stricker, okay, 2017 President's Cup, they win 19-11, just an absolute whipping. This year, Ryder Cup, they win 19-9. I mean, whatever he says, I know he's got great players, but something seems to work when Steve Stricker is at the helm.
Yeah,
I vote. I think it's a no-brainer. Give him another go. We gave Davis Love 2 cracks at it. Let's give him a go. See if he can solve the problem and get a W overseas.
If you would have taken a poll in the Team USA press conference post game last night, it would have been unanimous across the board. They were asked the question. They all wanted Strick. By the way, they would have agreed on a lot of weird shit probably during that press conference. That was the best press conference I've ever seen in my life. How about DJ, by the way, in that thing just taking over and actually,
Grandpa.
You saw all those dudes. You saw the personality. I think we need from now on the PGA Tour 3 beer minimum before you go in the press tent, and you'll learn a lot more about these dudes going forward. But if Steve Stricker, I don't know, the speculation. If he wants it, I think you're going to have potentially 10 of the same guys that we just saw this past week on the team in Rome, right? It could change, but I think there'd be the bulk of that team will look the same. I fully expect, minus some weird stuff happening. If you took a poll of the players, they're going to want Steve Stricker. So I got to think if he really leaned into it, was like, I'd love to go again. It'd be hard to say no to a guy that just went 19-9. With that being said, I don't think anything Steve Stricker does from this point on in his career can top what just happened for him this week. He's he's a Ryder Cup captain. It's in his home state, and he goes out and does that. It's like everything just worked out perfectly. He even said, when he was interviewed afterwards, like, hey, I don't have a major, but this is my major. It was just like a storybook deal for Steve Stricker. So, I mean, you get no argument from me. If Steve wants to go again, hey, buddy, you got it, but you can't top that.
Listen, there's some names being thrown out there. Tiger's obviously going to be a captain whenever he wants it. It's at Bethpage in 2025. That's a no-brainer.
That's
Phil
done.
Mickelson's your captain. There's talks of Zach Johnson, possibly maybe Justin Leonard, who's a Ryder Cup hero, major champion. But listen, I just think it's perfect. Zach's still young and playing quite a bit. Justin's not the oldest, and he's doing TV now. I say we give Stricker another go.
Bring Phil over.
Mickelson. Yeah, Phil's first off, I talked to Phil during one of the practice rounds. I was like, man, this is so cool, like, that you want to be involved in this. He's like, I would not miss this for the world. I love this event so much. Whether I'm playing, whether I'm a vice captain, whether I'm a captain, I'm going to be here. This is a thrill for me.
He was so involved out there, like in the practice rounds, walking with guys, talking through shots, all this stuff. One thing I want to give Phil huge credit for, he's big on social media now. He's tweeting out, he's doing Instagram, he's doing all this stuff, right? He does a great job with all that. This week, you didn't see one thing from Phil. It was all, he didn't want to steal the spotlight from anyone. It was all about the players. He stayed off all that stuff. I barely saw any interviews from Phil. I didn't really even see him talk a whole lot. He
commented on one picture, and it was when it was a picture of Brooks and Bryson at the opening ceremonies.
When they were like that.
And Phil was in the background. He goes, who's that handsome guy in the back? Didn't he win the PGA?
Yeah.
Well played.
Chimed in there. Of course, you got to get the PGA reference in there. But like other than that, there were no videos. There were no, hey, I'm driving up to the Ryder Cup. It was all players. He took a back seat. And I think he's huge in that team room. He'll be back in Rome if he wants to be back. You got to get him back because Bethpage is his for sure.
Bethpage is his, no doubt
that's
about it.
in stone.
But Sheboygan, Wisconsin showed off. Whistling Straits was beautiful. The weather was, it was chilly, windy, played very difficult, but the golf was awesome. Congrats to Team USA. Congrats to Team Europe. Just making this team is an honor. Either team is an honor, whether you win, lose. It is such a cool event, one of the greatest events in sports. We hear a lot of times from players how they don't pay attention to what's being said in the media. They don't watch golf on TV. But a certain fella that also is part of a podcast called Foreplay, a man who's been a guest on here named Riggs, decided to jump ship and go over to Team Europe after his man Kevin Kisner was not picked. And boy, did Team USA let him know about it Sunday night after they won. So don't ever listen to any of these golfers when they say don't pay attention to what's written in the media, they don't watch on TV. They know. And they took it personal, and they went and they wore Riggs' ass out, and I loved it.
Eat shit, Riggs. We were with him all week. He came in to eat with us in the media center there or whatever. I was like, yo, Team Europe fans, sit over there, bro. All this. I think it was a whole deal. Like, I'm gonna pretend I'm rooting for Team Europe, and then after, if the U.S. wins, they'll say like, look, I did my job. I had to motivate the guys, and they went out there and got the job done. So yeah, he was very pro Kisner going into this thing. When he didn't get picked, he jumped ship, and you just got your ass whooped, kid. Riggs
said thanks for showing up. Nice effort.
Yeah, he just totally faded
second
him
place
on the
isn't bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Poor Riggs. He's gonna have to earn his way back to be a Team USA fan. They're not just gonna accept him immediately.
Good luck getting interviews from one of these dudes. Maybe they gets blackballed out of there. Who knows? But we were with him a good amount of the week, and he's got to wear it. He's got to wear it for 2 more years. Maybe he'll convert. But we traded Riggs to Team Europe, and we picked up Faraday for Team USA. That's like Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan stuff.
I love it. But thanks to everyone who came up to us at the Ryder Cup.
Yes,
Tons of people came up and shout and get amongst it, said hi to us, took a lot of pictures. It was a lot of fun. Three Sheeps Brewery was incredible.
Trace, shape us. That's not the word. Someone on Instagram informed me that is in fact not the Spanish word for sheep, which I never intended for it to be, but I think it's got a nice ring to it.
Man, we had a lot of fun there. Thanks to them for hosting. I know we didn't get to do the live interview out loud. We had a little issue with the sound system, which was unfortunate, but y'all were a great host for us. Thanks to everyone that came out, said hi, took pictures, bought merch. Great place. If you're in Sheboygan, go check it out. 17 beers on tap. I think we left a little bit there. Not a whole lot, though.
There's a few kegs still standing. But
we had our man Cole Swindell was in the building.
Cole was in the building. Yeah, man. We had a time.
It was awesome. Great time. Hopefully everybody had a good time.
Quick before we wrap on Ryder Cup stuff, I want to ask you, because this is we saw what Team USA did this week. Projecting forward, all right, we just won one. It was like a must-win. Team Europe's been dominating this thing. Looking forward, I'm having a very hard time thinking that I don't want to call it dominance, but I think Europe's had their run where they were dominating the Cup. I think this is the beginning. This is the passing of the torch to Team USA. Going forward, looking at it, I mean, you got guys like Ian Poulter. I would argue that's his last Ryder Cup as a player. Lee Westwood, I would argue the same. Then you got Sergio Garcia, Paul Casey. Both guys have been a part of a lot of teams. I think they're maybes for the next one. But even take whatever you want. Look at our team. It's like 10 of these guys might be back. Most of them are just entering their prime. DJ's the oldest guy on the team, just went 5-0. Not bad. And we got a couple other guys sitting at home that you expect to come into the next. Like Will Zalatoris comes to mind. Sam Burns. I'm not as familiar with the European young guns. I'm sure they got some talent up and coming, but it's not to the likes of Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, all these guys that we got on our team. It looks like going forward on paper, this could be the run where maybe the U.S. starts to take hold of this thing.
Yeah, and I think right now, whoever the captain is going to be, if they said, hey, you can take these 12 guys right now or wait and see what plays out, they'd probably take these 12 right now.
Done.
But if they go overseas and put on a performance like this and blow them out 19-9, then I think we're definitely in for a run of dominance by Team USA.
And by the way, the fans were awesome in Wisconsin. They were great. They were loud. There was booing. There was cheering. It's just how a Ryder Cup should be. It's what makes it so cool. I'm starting to worry about when this thing comes to Bethpage and New York, dude. That thing there's gonna be some shit said at that tournament that hadn't been said at golf tournaments, and look out for Team Europe at that thing. I think that could be arguably the most raucous, boisterous crowd that we've seen at a Ryder Cup. Just experiencing it in Wisconsin.
I'm already
Wisconsin nice is like a saying. Everyone's so nice up there. Well, New York's got a little different saying about their folks. So, dude, Bethpage is gonna be insane.
By the way, let's just look ahead to that one real quick. 2025. 4 years from now, okay? Captain Phil Mickelson. How about on the other side? Ian Poulter.
It could shake out that way.
I mean, my goodness.
Can you imagine just we need to have like that HBO, like 24/7, like where they go, they sit in, get Kellerman, whoever you want to get in there, and just let them
Subpar 24/7.
Stare face to face and just talk to each other. Yeah, that'd be, because those two, some firecrackers there. But that's if you're thinking it's Phil, which we all do, and it's gonna be, who's the guy that matches that kind of intensity or whatever? Poulter, bro.
No doubt about it.
Poulter.
And he will get amongst it.
Those eyeballs will pop out of his head like they did at Medina. Oof.
I love it. Well, the Ryder Cup was incredible. We had such a great time. Congrats, Team USA, on a dominating performance. And by the way, we threw you a little winner with FanDuel last week.
Chicken.
A little plus 185. I said USA to lead after day 1, day 2, day 3. Cash that ticket if you bet it. Plus 185. So we're on to the Sanderson Farms Championship. Get a little chicken trophy.
The old Sandy Farm. Speaking of chicken.
Great tournament down in Jackson, Mississippi. One of the best player gifts you get all year. Got a few options. Yeti coolers, big green egg grill. It's an incredible tournament.
That's nice. Take them both.
Add a little excitement to your golf watching experience by betting on the Sanderson Farms Championship at FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boost on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get your winnings in safely as 24 hours, please.
Quick chicken. That's what we all like. I'll tell you a few other things I like about this thing. If you want to get a variety of action out there, you can do it. You got player props, futures, find whatever bet you're looking for. FanDuel has heaps of options. Also, live betting, big fan of that. If you missed the chase, missed the kickoff, great time to chase. You want to pile on, there's only one way to catch up, and that's keep firing. And also the odds boosts and specials every day. There's some huge boosts that go on out there. Quick way to make a lot of money.
And right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game or golfer, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. Seriously, there's no strings attached. Just place any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. All right, like we said, it's the Sanderson Farms Championship, a chance for some guys to continue a hot streak maybe in the fall, some rookies to lock up their card early. You never know. We had Max Homa win the first one of the year. This tournament's been very interesting. We've had Sergio Garcia win, Cameron Champ win, and then the likes of Peter Molinari, Ryan Armour. It's kind of all over the
wide
place.
Open.
It's a wide open event.
Week.
Sam Burns is your favorite this week. Sergio Garcia is back to defend. But Sleaze, I'm going to go.
Props to Sergio even for showing up, by the way. After a week like that, dude, you're exhausted. You could easily tap and say, nah, I'm good. He's going down there.
All right, well, I'm going to go with a guy who's been on a hot streak on the PGA Tour. He won 3 times this past season on the Korn Ferry Tour to receive that Battlefield promotion. Been playing some great golf. This is a golf course where you can send it a lot. There's some room out there. He's 32-1, plus 3,200. Mito Pereira. Do you know where he's from?
International.
Chile.
International player, as I said.
Answer. Yes. Mito Pereira is my guy, plus 3,200.
Okay, I'm going back to the honeypot here. This is my guy. I've been riding this. I've been riding this man since he came out. He is a ball striking Jesse, as we like to say here. Puts it in the fairway, puts it on the green. He's 24-1 this week. I'm going to go Corey Connors.
You do love Corey.
I love betting Corey Connors. I don't know why I always bet him. I'm just like, oh yeah, he hits it so good. He's going to win sometime.
All right, let's go down the line for some value. Maybe a long shot that might surprise. I can't believe this guy's odds are this. He loves Bermuda grass. He's a PGA Tour winner. He's a Georgia Bulldog. Plus 9,000. 90-1. Big Hudson Swafford.
Wow. That's shocking odds to me right there. Yeah, I don't mind that pick at all. I'm going to keep this, we're homers a little bit, so I'm going with my value right here. Another guy that strikes his golf ball and can get as hot as anyone. I love this guy because when he starts making birdies, he don't stop. He just keeps going. Joel Damon sitting there at 100-1. I think he's got the game to do it. And like I said, I just love the fact he'll just stack birdies up over and over. He's got no conscience once he gets going.
Nope, got that first win last season. No reason to follow it up with another one this year. Great player, and I like that, especially at 100-1.
Honey to 1, I like a lot of guys at 100-1, but I especially like Joel.
No doubt. Well, if you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com/subpar or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Be sure to sign up with promo code SUBPAR so they know that we sent you. Must be 21 years and older and present in Arizona or New Jersey. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER or call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXTSTEP to 53342. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Subpar Best of Luck Gambling on the Sanderson Farms. And next week, we got a returning guest, Sleaze. One of the most popular guys on the PGA Tour. He's number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings as we sit right now.
Number 1 in our hearts.
Max Homa will be in studio. Can't wait to sit down with Max. He is now a 3-time winner on the PGA Tour. We're going to get amongst it with Max Homa on next week's Golf Subpar.